Hey folks, this is Rebel Rousing Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, the tornado Tony Pennycat.
And the tornado's under the weather tonight, so I guess I'm going to have to do half of the talking.
The tornado feels like he's been hit by an F1.
We're trying to get Tom on. We'll probably get him later in the broadcast.
Yeah. I was saying before we got on the air, I know when things are starting to, affect me, like health reasons, and I'm about to get sick, I get irritated by the stupidest things. Like the one time, right before I went down with strep throat, like 8 years ago, we were at a bar for my friend's wife's birthday, and then we went to the local casino that was there. Yeah. And I was mad because I was playing in the one machine that was a Jeopardy machine. No, not Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune. And when I would give a chance to spin, it wasn't coming up on the good spins. And I was like, fuck this. This is bullshit. And I'm like, I'm getting aggravated over something like that's completely stupid. Then that night, boom, next thing I know, I'm at 102-degree fever and strep throat. And yeah. This time, like I said, I was on a work meeting the other day, and I was running late, and I was getting really, really irritated, and I broke for lunch finally at like 40 minutes before my day was supposed to end. And I walked out of the house, and fuck them, and they're assholes, and they kiss my ass, blah, 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 blah. So that's when I had that post. That's one of those days you want to take your laptop and give it the office space treatment. That was it. I went for a 4-mile walk that evening, and then I went down and worked out. I was forcing myself to it. I'm like, I feel really weak right now. I don't feel good. And then last night, I did one of those DDP yogas. And then I did about a 40-minute workout, and I was, like, to the point, like, I had nothing. Less than nothing. Yeah. And then today I'm like, you know what, I'm going to get urgent care, but I'm also going to, set up a rapid test COVID, test, just to be safe before seeing family this weekend.
Right. Smart. All right, well, we got to get to Chop Talk here. We have a lot of boxing matches to talk about, including one last night. I actually only saw brief highlights, but it was of Tim Tszyu there, just absolutely hammering Dennis Hogan to the ground. There's just something about the way he throws shots that are just so looping but sharp at the same time. That's just a very rare quality to have. Like to start from a position where you don't even seem like you have any leverage and then just turn that punch around on a loop. It's crazy the amount of power that guy has for his frame. And Hogan was blocking some of them and still just having a tough time dealing with that. But that was a great fight. Tim Tszyu obviously won. And we had another fight last night, but I've never heard of either one of these guys. So we'll talk about the Fabio fight of the week. Fabio Woodley beating Eric Molina. I know we talked about that last week, possibly a little bit, but another guy with a funny name, Ted Cheeseman, beating James Metcalf.
Yeah, my dad got to watch this fight last week. I was at a party, but he said that was a hell of a fight. Now they're like, imagine a prime Cheeseman versus a prime Mickey Ward.
Well then. We have Willie Hutchinson losing to Lennox Clark. Alexander Povetkin got revenged by Dillian White. Pretty bad.
Yeah, badly. Very badly.
Not a good one for Povetkin. Yeah. Chris Congo losing to Michael McKinson. What else do we have? Nothing else too. Incredible. Big news. And last Thursday night, we did have Amanda Serrano winning her fight against Daniela Romina Bermudez. And I think I did see some footage of that. That was a body shot that finally dropped her. And she stayed on the ground. So, might have broken a rib or something. It was quite a little bit of a slugfest. And we got this Saturday. We also, I don't know if we talked about this at all last week, we have the boxing match between the YouTuber and the MMA fighter there, Jake Paul and Ben Askren. So that's coming up, and they did a little bit of a promo for it, and Ben Askren slapped Jake Paul a little bit in the head, and they got into a little scuffle. It was one punch thrown to, speaking of body shots, right to the ribs of Ben Askren. But I'll tell you, I just today saw a video of Ben Askren working out. And as a Rocky fan, I think you would be sorely upset to see his parody of the Rocky IV training sequence.
Really?
Really. I mean, you talk about weak. He was trying to do pull-ups like Rocky was doing in the garage there. He wasn't even putting his chin over the bar. He was doing it on a beam above his head, and he wasn't even going above the bar. He wasn't even sweating for half of it. I mean, it was a total joke. And then he kisses his wife at the end of it. And, oh my God, it was ridiculously stupid. The dumbest Rocky IV parody I've ever seen. But aside from that, who do I think is going to win? I actually believe Jake Paul's got a better shot to win because his bulk and size is going to come in handy. Ben Askren can't take anybody down. And even when he was able to take people down in MMA, he had no power there. He wasn't knocking people out there. He was submitting them or getting points, wins. So, no matter how hard that guy trains, his reach is going to be a huge factor. He's definitely not going to do a good job, I don't think. But, I could be wrong, Mike. I don't know. Maybe he'll do like my strategy I've talked about before, like take a couple fouls. And then say, okay, I won't do it again. Break his leg. Say, okay, I'm sorry. There was that one time, that one boxing match. I'll probably never figure out the names, but we talked about it on the show, and I said, you watch the replay and you'll see that the guy's ankle gets rolled. And the fight gets stopped.
Yeah.
Fight got stopped. You never know. Ben Askren would wait for the referee to look the other way and kick out the other guy's ankle.
I've seen that happen a couple times. That happened to Michael Grant. The first fight after he lost to Lennox Lewis, he was fighting Jamil McClain. First punch came out, McClain caught him in the lead left hook, and Grant either broke or sprained his ankle on the way down. Wow. Basically, one punch, fight was over.
Yeah, that sucks. Sucks a big one.
Hey, Rich, we're going to April Fool somebody in a minute.
Oh, yeah?
One person. I met her I met her and her husband in Clearwater like 8 years ago. And we became Facebook friends, and I don't delete anybody. One of those people, it's like, Jesus Christ, must you comment at least 3 times on every post that I do? And it's all long-winded, dumb shit. So if I put something that's Philly, she's always got to put Yankee stuff on there. So if you see any of my posts and this woman's putting any Yankee shit on there, please counter it with some Red Sox shit. Or counter it with some, preferably Red Sox, but even throw in some Patriots shit on there. I don't care.
Yeah.
My friends might give you some heat, but I'm allowing it.
Oh, boy. I got involved one time with this guy that was
you want Tom Brady's phone number?
A Buffalo Bills fan. Tom Brady's phone number.
Cool.
Yeah. There was an April Fool's joke that he did today that said that he was bringing the Montreal Expos back. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Crazy. Anyway. Boxing. You gotta have an expensive plane ticket to see the good boxing this week. It's happening in Dubai, April 3rd. Super featherweights.
Ooh.
The main event: Carl Frampton and Jamel Herring. Both of them have 2 losses. Frampton has 28 wins. Herring has 22, and that's for the World Boxing Organization World Super Featherweight title. And I don't know what this co-main event's about, but one guy's got 10 times as many wins as the other guy, but it's somebody's always got to go fight. I don't know who this dude is. He's got a complicated name. You might have to go to school for the language to pronounce it. It's the super welterweight Tursinbay Kulakmet. He's only 2-0. But he's fighting a guy named Heber Rondon, who is 20-0 for the World Boxing Council International Super Welterweight title. Good luck. Then we have Super Flyweight. Donnie Nietes, 42-1-5 is his record. Fighting a long time, I guess. Fighting Pablo Carrillo, 25-7-1. And then here's another guy with a complicated name, but I think I got this one. Super lightweight, Jankosh Turarov. He is 24-0, fighting Tyron McKenna, 21-2-1. All very, very fantastic cards, fights on paper, except for the 2-0 guy. That one, last one, is for the WBO Intercontinental Super Lightweight title. We got other states here. U.S. Oh, our boys fighting. Joey, former guest of ours, Joey Dueco. 20 wins, 8 losses.
Yeah, I got in Philadelphia.
4 draws, fighting Joe Jones, 11-3. And they both had their share of few losses in their last 6 fights. Joe has had all 3 of his losses in his last 6 fights. So, yeah, Joe is due for a big one. Matthew Gonzalez also on the card. He's 11-0, fighting a guy named Luis Eduardo Flores, who's lost 5 of his last 6, and he's 25-18. That's really it for Saturday. It's a slow boxing.
Well, yeah, it's Easter weekend too.
Yeah. Then next week we have the big one is Joe Smith Jr. versus Maxim Vlasov. Also Sergey Lipinets and Jerome.
That'll be the fight.
Alright, let's see if Tom Kadrich's coming on. Unavailable. Unavailable. Wonder if he thinks it's a telemarketer because my 702 number is coming up now. Well, we may be without him tonight. But anyway, this crystal ball was wrong. My faith in his guy was wrong last week. It's probably a tough pill to swallow for our guy, Tom. And he must be busy this time of year. Tax deadline right around the corner, even though they extended it.
That time, oh my God. I guess you got 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Once they extended it, I don't know.
I think they did for a month. But anyway, that's still going to keep him busy.
See, it was funny. When it comes to tax season, nobody in my family is ever late. Like, when I talk about nobody in my family, I'm talking about, like, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, all that. My mom is, like, the tax queen of the house. So, like, she'll bitch because I have an investment that generally takes a long time to send in their annual reporting to I guess, claim. So she's like, I can have yours done, but I can't wait for that stupid annuity that you have. And I'm like, Mom, it's making me a lot of money, so it's not that stupid. She gets so fired up that she can't sign in until mid-February. It's like, this one year I had a coworker of mine call me on, like, April 10th. He's like, just making sure you know, taxes are due next week. Just making sure you're paying. I've already got that return.
Yeah. I pretty much spent my stimulus immediately. But anyway, yeah, our boy was. We picked the dark horse to win. That he was going to maintain his belt and do well. And Tony, you saw the Twister picture. That's how the fight ended. There was one more hammer fist to put the exclamation point on it. But Francis Ngannou had a whole different approach. He was more patient with his shots, but also when he connected, he did damage. And it was kind of funny that I told you guys a little bit about the that show on Netflix called Kingdom, because the main character is a guy named Alvy Kalina. And the way Stipe came out there with his hair all frizzed up was like exactly the hair look of Alvy Kalina, who ends up fighting in the last episode, and he fights Matt Hughes, which is, he's not even basically 100% functioning right now because he had a train accident. But this must have been just before it when they filmed the show, because it was like a real fight. They staged it, and them two were going at it. They did like a 5-round simulated fight, and it was cool. But Stipe came out looking like this guy Alvy, and he took a beating. He took a lot of hard shots, and just nothing was working for him. He almost, because of the way the hair was all frizzed up, it almost looked like he had woken up from a bad nap where he was face down on a pillow or something. I don't know what the story was there, but he just didn't have the reach. He didn't have the same advantage of being the aggressor. He got clubbed a few times, and he was always constantly in recovery mode. But it took. He lasted the first round, and the second round was when he got. I think it was like a left hook from Ngannou, and he trained specifically for Stipe's style, and just never really got hurt by anything Stipe threw, but just did the job. He did the job perfectly, and got the title. And the great story about this is, Stipe had his run. He was a great example of a good heavyweight champion. He's a fireman, civil servant, and he fought some tough guys, beat some good tough guys, including the guy that just beat him. But Ngannou, the story this guy has. He was homeless. He traveled from somewhere in Africa, like hundreds and thousands of miles maybe, and just got himself to a different place. And just, it's like not only the American dream, the world dream of going from nothing to the biggest thing in a sport that you've devoted to. I mean, that's just an incredible human story, period. So that's getting a lot of play, and he's going to be basically, representing, whole regions really of Africa, because of now you got two guys. Usman too is a UFC champion. He's also from, I think, Senegal or something. But just great stories. By the way, I guess I got to reach out to my buddy down there, Samuel Peter. I haven't heard from him in about a month. A few weeks.
Mr. CEO, what's the problem?
I don't know. I guess I told him about a fight there, right in his Tanzania, right in his backyard, and they had to cancel the fights because the president of Tanzania died. It's funny. Anyway, the co-main event, Tom and I discussed this last week. Tyron Woodley against Vicente Lucay. I didn't really know a lot about Vicente. I've seen a couple of his fights. I know a lot about Woodley, and we talked about the gun-shy thing. I kept trying to figure out what word it was. And Tyron Woodley still looked a little dazed and confused out there. But it was one of those things where it almost resulted in a double knockout. We almost had a freak show situation like that unfold, because when Woodley was the deer in headlights, wobbling all over the place, he started to land. When Lucay had let his guard down, he started to land some brutal shots. But the meme of the week is going around for this one because Woodley ended up getting knocked out submitted in round 1, 3 minutes and 56 seconds in. The guy finished it off with a submission. And the meme is that they put Scott Coker on the outside of the ring with a sign that says Bellator, signed Bellator contract here. It's like Woodley's 4th loss in a row. So they're demoting him to the minors already in the MMA media. And I believe it's his last fight on the contract anyway, so It's unfortunate for him. He was such a dominant fighter and just fell off the map. And another guy got back in the win column after suffering his first loss, bantamweight, Sean O'Malley. And he's one of those guys, likes the up jab. He likes the up jab. He likes to keep his hands low when he's at a distance and rarely brings him up even when he's close. And he takes a little bit of punishment for that, but he also has really good hand movement, really good head movement, and good instincts, good fighting instincts. But like Donald Trump's downfall, he has a big ego. One of these days he's going to try showboating with the wrong guy, and he's going to get knocked the heck out. But Thomas Almeida gave him a good fight, went to round 3, and O'Malley finally put him away with just 8 seconds to go before it got into the final minute in round 3. 3 minutes and 52 seconds, and he goes to 13-1. Almeida 22-5. So that was a pretty decent scrap up until that point. Those guys gave it to each other pretty good. Miranda Maverick before that, 11-2, beating Jillian Robertson, 9-6. That was just a regular decision. And Kama wasn't worthy, I guess. Kama worthy. He's 16-8 because he got beat by Malarkey, Jamie Malarkey. 46 seconds knockout. 46 seconds into the fight. That was actually right before I tuned in, so I didn't see that one. But the good news is I did not put together a FanDuel card. Not that I didn't want to, it's just I didn't have time. I was literally doing it at the very last second, and I didn't get it in time. So thankfully I didn't, because I would have picked everybody wrong on this one, including the main event. It was like, I just wanted to go with Stipe. I was rooting for him, because I thought he had the intimidation factor from the first win, but Ngannou came in there looking like a beast, acting like one too, just totally destroyed him there. Your foot doesn't bend back like that from anything. The last time I seen a foot bend back like that, actually sent him to the hospital. He had to go to the hospital afterwards to have his leg looked at. Who was it? Jeez. Gabriel Gonzaga, who I met personally at that embarrassing time at the event, when he head kicked Mirko Krokop. And that's like, everybody's seen that. She's an MMA fan for a long time. It was just like unbelievable, because Krokop had been so dominant at the time. Gonzaga hadn't really been too dominant himself. So that was about it. Not a lot of big stories going around. I'm sure I might have some Google alerts or something. But yeah, I did find out about that the freak show of a story last week we discussed. Found out a little bit more about that. The woman, I don't know what was said at the meeting, but the woman that came to the school with the boxing glove, the super glue to her hand, she came to the meeting that way. So I mean, they had to have seen it there and wondered, what the hell is she doing with the boxing glove on? So yeah, that's the funniest thing I've heard in boxing. Remember, I don't know if we brought this up. I know I had it in the queue, but we talked about this fight wasn't going to happen between Anderson Silva and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
I remember you saying something about it.
Well, now it's on. Now that they are going to fight this June. This is on CBSSports.com, so I can't believe it. And it's going to be his retirement fight. This is going to be his last fight. Not Anderson Silva, probably. He might fight again, but Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. will be his last one.
Haven't we heard that for about 5 years now? After every time he pulls in, every time he pulls a quick job in there, he's done.
Yeah.
Then he comes back for some more with another non-effort.
It says Tuesday press release confirmed about rumored since earlier in the year would headline a pay-per-view event titled Tribute to the Kings from Guadalajara, Mexico. Chavez Sr. will make his final in-ring appearance, whatever that means.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're not so lucky.
As the referee. I know Mayorga actually got helped out by, I guess there's clinics now that Chavez Sr. has like sponsored and stuff. He had his alcohol issues and all that. Anyway, that's pretty interesting. I don't know why this is taking forever to let me scroll down. Yep, that's going to be happening in June. What else do we have? Google Alerts. Okay. Talked about the zoo. Come on, computer.
Speaking of Chavez Jr., I'm watching a clip of one of his father's old fights.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he fought Hector Camacho back in '92. I mean, getting crazy to think, that was 28 years ago.
Oh, by the way, thank you for pointing, for saying that name. That jogs my memory of something we need to talk about, which is, if you look up Fight Talk Unlimited now and go to our Blog Talk Radio site, all of our old interviews are back intact, including the Goody one.
No shit.
And the Goody one,
Great.
I have doctored up because it was very bad quality. It's just like 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Right.
So I doctored it up. I jazzed it up.
Early 2012?
Yeah. So I'm going to either try to find a way to replace the audio or, at least take the Goody interview right out of it and just put that online in better format somewhere. But yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. I was surprised because they said that they could go back and do some, but I thought it was always a situation where they were charging us for the storage and we had already surpassed it or something, so I didn't think they could go back that far. But they ended up getting all of it. So now I'm gonna have to look for the DDP one and confirm the DDP and Richard Steele.
Yeah, because that was definitely 2012. That was definitely 2012. The Goody one I know had to be 10 or 11 because he died. I think he died in 2012. I knew he had passed away before the Marciana statue dedication, which was September of 12.
Boy, I know there was supposedly the deal was made with Evander Holyfield, but Frank Bruno is now coming out and saying he's going to be Mike Tyson's next opponent.
Why would he want after the last two? It was funny. Last week I was at a 40th birthday party, and they're like Holyfield. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that. They're like, it's going to be May 29th at the Borgata in Atlantic City. But are you sure about that? Because I have not heard anything about a date or a location. Date, or a location. No, it's definitely May 29th in the Borgata. Can you get us tickets? Of course, because, I can just... And I'm like, guys, you got to understand. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to need about 8. This person wants to go, this person wants to go, this person wants to go. And I'm like, yeah, guys, that's all well and good and everything. If it is at the Borgata, and if the tickets are at a decent price, you know, I might only be able to get 4. Now, who do you cut out? You know, and then they're like, oh, we think we read this fight's off. I'm like, yeah, I could have told you that. So, could be potentially back on, maybe, but
I have to let Tyson and Nugget in. Cats. Out in the wild tonight. Let's stay out late. Anyway, yeah, I do have a couple other stories here. We got, let's see, Mike Tyson, Frank Burrow. This is April Fool's joke. Uh-oh. Might be an April Fool's joke there. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but there's a story going around about Endeavor, the big conglomerate agency that owns the UFC, the majority portion of the UFC, I should say. They're trying to physically get a hold of the rest of it. All the shares that were sold to the professional athletes and celebrities, basically every last bit, 100%. Because they're doing a IPO. So that's been going around the news lately. Also, I believe this is this is the first weekend, because they did the weigh-in today. First weekend for Showtime having an event on Bellator. So it's going to be a pretty decent fight, the main event. I think they're doing it Saturday. Must be doing it Saturday because the weigh-ins are today. I mean, on Friday. The other big story that MMA has come into play with this week is the murder trial there in Minneapolis with Derek Chauvin officer. That's been playing out. I've been watching a little bit of it on CNN, and I watched most of the testimony of that guy who is actually an MMA expert. And he worked with a few of the guys at the academy, believe it or not. One of the guys that stopped and tried to get the officers to get off the dude. And, you know, I was of the opinion, yeah, this guy, he's a criminal. He asked for all this stuff, you know. He shouldn't have resisted, but this is like, it just baffles me the way it was escalated to that point where they had him on the ground with like 4 cops on him. And,
right.
And there was one guy that I think made the most effect. The video. Well, the video. If you watch the full 9-minute video, it's like, geez, like it's impossible for those jurors to watch that and not convict this dude of something. I don't know what it's going to be, but they're going to convict this dude of something. So this guy testifies all about how you know the MMA stuff is, and in the video he's telling the guy, you know, everything that's going on that he's not looking at. The guy's up there looking at them, and then these people are never like really approaching to the point where they're getting violent and like pushing anybody around. Like there's one cop that's physically like standing between the guy on the ground, George Floyd, and them. So nobody ever like tries to breach that and run around him. And a lot of people actually, the thing that blows my mind how they're ever going to come out with innocent verdict is all these people that are testifying that were there, that were speaking to the cops and like calling them names and stuff like that. Like they still feel like they didn't do enough to save this guy. They feel guilty for his death. Even the guy that ratted him out for the $20 bill was like, I feel like a piece of shit. I killed this dude. And I could have just took it out of my pay. Been done with it. You would have lived.
The only thing is, the only problem you're going to see here, and I'm afraid this is going to lead to a lot more civil unrest, especially now that the weather's getting warmer again, is it's a lot harder to prove true guilt than put in any type of reasonable doubt. And the reasonable doubt, if I'm a lawyer, and I don't know this guy's lawyers, nor do I want to. The lawyer is going to come out and argue, okay, did the guy resist? Yes. Did they maybe use too much force?
What I didn't know,
he was on drugs.
Even with all the media reporting, is this dude was already handcuffed. They weren't trying to get the cuffs on him. I didn't know that until I started watching this thing. He was already handcuffed. Where's he going to go?
The only thing they're going to argue on here is that the amount of toxins in his system, I don't know if it was fentanyl or whatever it was, pretty much is what gave him his, I don't know if it was like a heart attack or whatever. I don't think it was asphyxiation that killed him. I think it was a heart attack from the stress that killed him. The stress exacerbated by the fact that there was lethal levels of fentanyl in his system at the time. So if a good lawyer can say, well, you know what? This guy was a ticking time bomb, because of the illegal drugs in his system,
Right. Whoop. We lost you.
Disconnected?
Yeah, you got disconnected.
Hey. Okay, because I was in my cousin Vinny legal expertise. But no, I was saying it's harder to prove, guilt when it's easier to prove.
In this case, though, with regular people
doubt.
As jurors, the impact of all these witnesses talking about what they saw and how it still haunts them to this day, I guarantee it's going to affect people.
But the thing is, if he had lethal levels of fentanyl in his system, which the stress of the moment exacerbated the fentanyl and led him to the heart attack that ended up killing him, was it the asphyxiation that killed him, or was it the heart attack because of the lethal levels of fentanyl? Then you can come out and argue that, well, maybe, it's not the fact that he was killed at the moment, but if this stopped him from getting behind the wheel of the car, driving impaired, killing somebody else, this potentially could have saved lives. That's how you would want to argue it as a lawyer. If a good lawyer that knows the bullshit system, and that's what it is the bullshit system, that's how you have to present this.
Yeah. Well, that's how they're doing it.
Necessarily did it. It was the drugs.
That's basically how they're doing it. I thought the best witness for the prosecution so far was a 61-year-old guy, where they played a portion of the tape of George screaming for his mama, and this guy just immediately breaks out crying and talks about how his mother just died, and he can understand what the guy's going through. And this guy actually said something to the cop that kind of summed it all up afterwards when the guy, they knew he was dead. And the cop was, just before he left, he said, the other day I would have said, peace be with you and go home to your family and your children, but, today I'm calling you a maggot because of what you did to that man. Yeah. And the guy had a history, so that's the competing factors. You've got medical science. Was it, the fentanyl and the drugs that killed him? Was it a lifetime of doing that made his heart susceptible to, whatever they're going to try to frame. But that's what's wrong with the justice system. It turns into a game, where the facts are somewhere in the middle, and the jurors got to sort through all the bullshit to find it. So I just don't know how they're going to get past some of the video, though. You know, these police officers, you know, Chauvin in particular. Maybe some of the other ones can get past it because they weren't always looking at what the guy was doing on the ground. They were looking at the crowd. But Chauvin, I mean, had to know. He had to be able to hear this guy continually saying he couldn't breathe. And there is already a civil judgment of millions of dollars, like $27 million. So that kind of changed things. But yeah, unreal situation. Anyway, changing the subject. We got to get to the big Bellator debut on Showtime, and then we'll wrap it up. Patricio Freire, they call him Pitbull. He is a little pit bull. He's responsible for one of the best late knockouts I've ever seen in a fight, where he had like both black eyes, and he just came out with a left hook and just put the guy up against the fence and out. Or no, he was up against the fence, and he came off the fence and knocked the guy out. Anyway, he's fighting a very tough, no cheap date, Emmanuel Sanchez, who's 20-4. Patricio 31-4. Then the co-main event, Neiman Gracie has just the one loss to go with 10 wins. He's fighting Jason Jackson, who's 13-4. We got Jack May, 11-7, fighting Tyrell Fortune, 9-1. Usman Nurmagomedov, he's 11-0, fighting Mike Hamill, who's 7-4. We got Alejandra Lara, 9-3, fighting Kana Watanabe. She's 9-0-1. And then C.J. Hamilton, who's 15-7, fighting Magomedov, who is 17-1. Ricardo Sixas, he is 9-2, fighting Mandel Nalo, who's 7-1-1. Fabio Fight of the Week. It's an MMA, I guess, this week. Fabio Aguiar, he's 17-1, fighting Khalid Murtazaliev. He is 14-2. Then we got Christopher Gonzalez. He is 5-0. And he's fighting Roger Huerta, long-time UFC fighter, and fought along different circuits. He's 24-12-1. And then we got a very rare situation where you have a guy who's Spanish with 4 names, and one of them is not Jesus. Jose Augusto Azevedo Barros. He is 6-2, fighting Jonathan Wilson, who's 9-3. And second fight of the night, Roman Feraldo, 4-0, fighting Trevor Guda, who is 2-1. And oh boy, I believe this is the first time I've seen the masks in the face in the Sherdog pictures. You know, a guy is a new fighter on Sherdog now when his picture has a mask.
Yeah.
First fight of the night, Jordan Newman, 2-0, fighting Branko Busick, who is 2-1. And that's it for what I had lined up anyway, so until next week. Adios for now, and get well soon there, Tony. Let's hope the test goes well. No funkadelics.
Yes, thank you. Like I said, I'll get a minute clinic tomorrow. I'll get some meds. I think it's the bronchitis. But, you know, ago, and because I was at a party last week where, you know, 2 of the people had COVID, you know, a month or 2 ago, it's just better to be, you know, to get checked right now just because I will be seeing family this weekend.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Family, maybe having a great Easter dinner. I'll be quarantined in a room. That'll suck.
Yeah. Whatever you do, don't ever let them put you on a ventilator.
No, trust me, don't believe me. Like my friend Mike, Dominic had it. You know, Dominic, he got through it in like 2 days. Mike had it, and he was beat up for a little bit. But one of the things I did tonight was, I don't have a great sense of smell anyway, you know, because of years of boxing. And so they said, look, you lose your sense of smell. That's a sign. Well, I don't have a strong sense of smell anyway. So I grabbed something strong. I grabbed the garlic, and I'm like, I can smell that. I've been able to taste everything, so that's good. I don't have a fever. It's just all the congestion in my chest. It's bronchitis. I know it is, but, you know, just you want to be respectful for, you know, your relatives. Those fuckers have eaten everything, and I'll be like stuck up in a room. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, you're quarantined. You can't eat anything. We'll eat your share for you.
Yeah, that's crazy. One more thing before we go here. I'm just reading this now. The Endeavor thing that I was talking about with the UFC, there's a new twist here because now the two are tied together. It's wanting to get 100% and going for the IPO. According to an SEC filing, Endeavor has a deal in place to raise at least $1.75 billion to buy out the remainder of the UFC before the IPO. Money raised from the IPO will also go towards the purchase. If that money is not raised and Endeavor does not end up going public, the deal will not be completed. So that's interesting. And I did read an article the other day that says the reason that is happening is because the rest of their industry, this business Endeavor, was hit so bad by the COVID that so many people were not getting any royalties. And they had to fire a bunch of people. They had to do a mass layoff. And so now the UFC, even their minor ownership or their major ownership in it, it's like 52% or whatever it is worth so much money because it's still bringing in the hundreds of millions of dollars, even with the pandemic. So obviously when the opening comes and they're actually allowed to have a live gate again, it's guaranteed to go up. So I think that's why they really want to get a hold of it, 100% of it, because they want those hundreds of million dollars coming in on the bottom line. And it literally kept them afloat, is what the real story is. So now they're realizing how closely the UFC relationship has brought them to dependence on the UFC in tough times. So they're making it official. They're going for the big one. I imagine they're going to have to do a lot of horse trading for that, though. I mean, how are you going to get Tom Brady and friggin' Conor McGregor to give up his shares? Like, he's going to want to fight you for them. It's going to get ugly. Yeah. Wild stuff. We'll keep an eye on that one. Anyway, gotta go. Thanks for stopping by.
All right.
Get better.
Good weekend, everybody. Have a happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter to Tom, too. Sorry he couldn't be with us. Hope he's all right.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he's doing taxes.
Buried in his
He's dealing with Uncle Sam.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
I dress like Uncle Sam, but he's got to deal with it. All right, later.
Good night. Get some rest.